Hello and welcome to A-Level Math. This is the third video in the series Geometric Progressions. In the first and the second videos, we had covered the basic concepts of geometric progressions like the general term and the sum up to the first n terms. In this video, we are going to learn about geometric means, take some solid examples, and then dive into some harder problems. So let's get started. Assume that I give you two numbers, say for example 6 and 9, and I ask you to find out some number x between these two numbers such that these three numbers form a GP. Then in such a case, x is called the geometric mean of 6 and 9. Remember how in arithmetic progressions we had the concept of arithmetic means? Like we had two numbers and then we had to insert some numbers such that the entire sequence forms an arithmetic progression. In a similar way, we can have two numbers and then we can insert some numbers. In particularly in this case we are dealing with the just one number, so we are inserting just one number between 6 and 9, but it can be extended to any number of terms. The thing is that all these numbers should then be forming a GP. So this x is called as the geometric mean of 6 and 9. So how can we find out such an x? Well, that's simple. We know that for these three numbers to be in GP, we need this squared to be this times this. Remember why? Because we want this common ratio x by 6 is equal to 9 by x, which is the common ratio, to be equal for both of these numbers, and only then we can have these numbers to be in GP. So this divided by this should be equal to this divided by this, and then only we can have these numbers in GP. Alright, so let's find out what is x. We have x times x, which is x square is equal to 9 times 6. So that is why for three numbers to be in GP, mid number squared, which is mid number squared, is equal to the product of the extremes, is equal to 9 into 6. So we get x squared is equal to 9 6 are 54, and then we get x is equal to root over 54 and with a plus or a minus. So this is called as a geometric mean of 6 and 9. Alright, there is some convention that is followed by different mathematicians. Some says that if these two numbers 6 and 9 are positive, then we also take this x to be positive, and if these numbers 6 and 9 are negative, for example we have minus 6 and minus 9, then we will be taking the negative minus root over 54 to be our geometric mean. But again, that varies from person to person. I personally feel that both of these should be taken, plus as well as minus, because in any of those cases our x will be the geometric mean and 6 and x and 9 will form a geometric progression. So I take both, but you follow whatever convention you want, or maybe your teachers whatever they suggest. So that's up to you. Alright, so these are the conventions that generally some of the mathematicians follow, that if both of those numbers are positive, then the geometric mean is also positive. If both of the numbers are negative, then the geometric mean is also negative, and if one number is positive and the other number is negative, then the geometric mean will not hold. And I also agree to this fact, because suppose that I tell that one number is positive and the other number is negative, then in that case we will be having x square is equal to 6 into minus 9, which is minus 54, and you cannot have any real number the square of which is negative. So you cannot have any x, any real number, be it minus or be it plus, be it negative or be it positive. You cannot have any number whose square is negative. A squared number is always either 0 or positive. A squared number can never be negative. So that is why this third point says that between two numbers of opposite signs, the GM does not exist. Alright. Okay, so let's take up some questions and we will follow the convention as I showed you. That means if we have two positive numbers, we will be taking the positive geometric mean. So the geometric mean for 6 and 24 is root over 6 times 24, which is equal to, okay, I can write down 24 as 6 times 4, and then 6 is left as 6. So we know that 6 and 6, the root of 6 into 6 is 6 and the root of 4 is 2. So I have 12 as my answer. Now the geometric mean of minus 9 and minus 25 is root over minus 9 times minus 25, but with a negative sign outside. So what we have, root over minus into minus give me a plus, and 9 times 25, square root of 9 is 3, square root of 25 is 5, and negative outside, so minus 15. Okay, and lastly we are having minus 6 times 9, so one of them is negative, another is positive, and we cannot have any geometric mean between these two numbers, and that's it. Easy one. Now next question, find two positive numbers. They have asked us to find out such positive numbers a and b. So we have to find out a and b, where a and b are both positive, whose am are 34 and gm is 16. Okay, so we know that arithmetic mean of a and b is given by a plus b by 2. So this is given to be 34, and the geometric mean of a and b is, just now as we discussed, it is root over ab, which is equal to 16. And remember, it's plus not minus, because both the numbers are positive, so we will be following that convention that if both the numbers are positive, the gm is also positive, so that is why it's plus root ab. Okay, so now we have to solve these. So we have a plus b is equal to 68 and root ab is equal to 16. All right, so what we can do now is, let's multiply both of these sides by 2. So it's 2 into root ab and 2 into 16. So we have 2 root ab is equal to 32. All right, so now consider this to be equation number 1 and consider this to be equation number 2. Now what we can do, we can add all of these. So we have a plus b plus 2 root ab is equal to 68 plus 32. So this is actually root a plus root b the whole squared, which is equal to 68 plus 32 is 100, and we have root a plus root b is equal to 10. We cannot have minus 10 because a and b are all, as it is, positive. So root a and root b are also positive, so we cannot have sum of two positive numbers to be negative. So that is why we have root a plus root b is equal to 10. Okay, next I can also subtract equation number 1 from equation number 2. So what I'll be having is a minus 2 root ab plus b is equal to 68 minus 32. So I have root a minus root b the whole squared is equal to 68 minus 32 gives me 36. So I have root a minus root b is equal to 6. Okay, this can be plus 6 or minus 6 depending upon which one is greater. So let's assume initially that I take a to be greater than b. Let this be our assumption. So let's take plus 6 only, no problem. All right, so we have now two new equations. Let's call this equation number 3 and let's call this equation number 4. So if we add 3 and 4, root b and root b cancels out. What we have is, okay, let me clear up all those things and write it down everything again. So we assume a to be greater than b, and then what we have is root a plus root b to be equal to 10 and root a minus root b to be equal to 6. If we add these things, I get 2 root a is equal to 16, get root a is equal to 8, and I get a to be equal to 64. And similarly, if I subtract these two, so a and a will get cancelled out. I get 2 root b is equal to 4, root b is equal to 2, and b is equal to 4. So my two numbers are 64 and 4. Okay, if you want, you can also take a to be less than b. If you take a to be greater than b, then you get these are your answers, and if you take a to be less than b, then you'll be getting 4 and 64 as your answer. In any case, you just have to give those two numbers. That means they're interested in knowing what are the two numbers? So 64 and 4 are the numbers whose AM is 34. So you can also verify 64 plus 4 divided by 2 is 34, and the geometric mean is 64 times 4 under root is 16. So 64 and 4 are the answers. Next question, find the value of n so that a to the power of this plus b to the power of something something something. So we want this be the geometric mean between a and b. We have to find out such a value of n so that this big thing becomes the geometric mean of a and b. Okay, so that means we have to form an equation. What is our equation? We want root over AB to be equal to this big thing, because the geometric mean of AB is root AB, and we want to be equal to this thing. So let's write it down. A to the power of n plus 1 plus b to the power of n plus 1 divided by a to the power of n plus b to the power of n. All I need to do is now solve for n. So let's see what we can do. I can write down this root AB as a to the power of half and b to the power of half, and the left thing remains as it is. So let me do one thing. Let me replace this over here itself, because I am a lazy person. I don't want to write that thing again. So a to the power of half and b to the power of half. Okay, now let's cross multiply. So a to the power of half plus n b to the power of half plus a to the power of half b to the power of half plus n. This is what we get on the left hand side, because when you cross multiply, I multiply a to the power of n with this and b to the power of n with this again, so I get two terms, and the right hand side remains as it is, a to the power of n plus 1 plus b to the power of n plus 1. Now what I do, I just do some here and there transportation. So I take this on the left hand side and put this on the right hand side. So a to the power of half plus n b to the power of half minus a to the power of n plus 1 is equal to b to the power of n plus 1 minus a to the power of half b to the power of half plus n. And now let's see what we can take out. So we can take of course a to the power of n we can take common, and also we can take a to the power of n plus half common. So what we have b to the power of half minus a to the power of half, because if you multiply this with this, you will be getting a to the power of n plus 1. Half plus half will give you 1. Similarly, I can take b to the power of n plus half common, so I will be getting b to the power of half minus a to the power of half. So that's it. Now b to the power of half minus a to the power of half I have on both the sides, and we can cancel it out because we are given that a is not equal to b. So if a is not equal to b, then we cannot have root a to be equal to root b. So what we are given is that a is not equal to b, so root a cannot be equal to root b, so we cannot have root b minus root a to be equal to 0. So we can cancel it out. Remember what I told you in the very beginning of our classes, that whenever you are cancelling out something, that make sure that they are not 0. So make sure that this quantity that you are cancelling out is not equal to 0. So this is what that ensures. A not equal to b ensures that this quantity is not equal to 0, and hence we can cancel out. Okay, so what we are left with now is a to the power of n plus half is equal to b to the power of n plus half. So we have to find out n, and this can only happen, see, we are given that a is not equal to b and we want this to be equal to this. Okay, so I repeat, suppose you are given that a is not equal to b, but some powers, suppose a power x is equal to b to the power of y, they are equal, I say this, then the only possibility is that both of these powers are 0, because in only that case we get a to the power of 0 equal to b to the power of 0 is equal to 1, and in only that case that both turn out to be 1. So what we have is that this power is actually 0. So we have n plus half to be equal to 0. So what we have, n is equal to minus half as our answer. Next question. if a and g are respectively the arithmetic and geometric means between two distinct positive numbers a and b, then prove that a is greater than g. So what we have to prove is that suppose you have two numbers a and b. A is the arithmetic mean between a and b, and g is the geometric mean between a and b. So we have to prove that arithmetic mean is greater than geometric mean. So how are we going to prove this? Okay, so we know that arithmetic mean, capital A, is actually equal to a plus b divided by 2, and we know that geometric mean is equal to actually root over ab. We have this thing at hand. Given any two numbers a and b, a and g, arithmetic and geometric means, are defined like this. Okay, now what? So now let's start with this. Root over a minus root over b, the whole squared, is greater than 0. We know this because this is a square quantity. So root a minus root b whole squared has to be greater than 0, and it cannot be greater than or equal to 0 because the question says that the numbers are distinct. So if the numbers are distinct, that means a cannot be equal to b. If only a is equal to b, then we can have root a minus root b whole square to be equal to 0. Otherwise, whatever, in any other circumstances, this quantity, this thing has to be strictly greater than 0, strictly positive. Okay, so let's now square up, open up the square. So we have a minus 2 root ab plus b to be greater than 0. So now some manipulation. Let's take this 2ab on the other side. So we have a plus b to be greater than 2 root ab, and then let's take this 2 on the left hand side. So we have a plus b whole divided by 2 greater than root ab. And what is this a plus b whole divided by 2? This is actually a. So we have a greater than g. And that's it. We are done. Proved. Next question. If x, y and z are distinct positive numbers, then prove that something holds. Okay, so this is an application of what we have just now proved. We have just now proved that for any numbers, for any two number, arithmetic mean is greater than the geometric mean. So if I consider just these two numbers x and y, so for these two numbers, my arithmetic mean, which is x plus y by 2, is greater than the geometric mean, which is root over xy. And also if I consider these numbers y and z, then for these two numbers, the arithmetic mean, which is y plus z by 2, is greater than root over yz, which is the geometric mean. And for these two numbers x and z, the arithmetic mean x plus z by 2 is greater than root over xz, greater than the geometric mean. Now let's cross multiply for each and every one of them. We have x plus y greater than 2 root xy. We have y plus z greater than 2 root yz, and we have x plus z to be greater than 2 root xz. So consider this to be equation number 1, consider this to be equation number 2, and consider this to be equation number 3. Now what I do, I just multiply all of these three equations. So what I have on the left hand side, I have x plus y times y plus z times x plus z to be greater than 2 root xy into 2 root yz into 2 root zx. So 2 times 2 times 2 is actually 8. So left hand side I copy as it is, x plus y, y plus z, and x plus z greater than 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. Root x times root x gives me x. Root y times root y gives me y. And root z times root z gives me z. And we are done. We have proved the result. That's it. Okay, next question. If the arithmetic mean and geometric mean of the roots of a quadratic equation be 8 and 5, so they are saying that there is some quadratic equation. So if you haven't seen the videos on quadratic equation, if you're not familiar with what quadratic equation is, what the roots of the quadratic equation, please go and watch my videos on quadratic equations. So the question here says that there is a quadratic equation and you take out the roots. There are two roots of a quadratic equation and you take the roots, and the AM and GM of those roots are actually equal to 8 and 5. This is what the question says. So you have a quadratic equation, so you have the roots of the quadratic equation. The AM and GM of those two roots are 8 and 5 respectively. Then they are asking us to find out the equation. So okay, let's assume that the two roots are A and B. Then if the two roots are A and B, then the question says that the AM and GM of this is actually 8 and 5. So we have A plus B by 2 is equal to actually 8, and root over AB is 5. This is what the question says. And now we have to find out the equation. So I'll tell you how to do that, but first of all, let's simplify this. We have A plus B is equal to 16 and AB is equal to 25. I have squared both sides in here. So I have AB equal to 25 and A plus B is equal to 16. Now you remember from the video that to find out any quadratic equation, the formula is x squared minus sum of the roots multiplied by x plus product of the roots. Do you remember this? So this is gonna help us out to find out the quadratic equation. So x squared minus the sum of the roots, which is actually A plus B, is 16, x plus the product of the roots AB is actually 25. So this is my quadratic equation and I'm done. That's it. Next, find two positive numbers whose difference is 12 and whose AM exceeds the GM by 2. Okay, so let's assume that our two numbers are A and B, where we assume that A is greater than B. No problem in that. You can also assume that A is less than B. Now the question says that the difference is 12, so A is bigger, so I have A minus B equal to 12. If you take A to be less than B, then B minus A is 12. So remember, always do big minus small, don't do small minus big is 12. Okay, so A minus B is equal to 12, and the question says AM exceeds the GM. So what is the AM of A and B? So it's A plus B by 2. What is the GM? Root over AB. So AM exceeds GM by 2. That means AM minus GM is equal to 2. So we have two equations. This is equation number 1, this is equation number 2. I have to solve these two equations to find out the value of A and B. So what I do is, okay, I just take this 2 as LCM. So 2 A plus B minus 2 root AB is equal to 2. So A root A minus root B, the whole squared, is equal to 4. I multiply, cross multiply this 2 with this 2 to get 4. So I have root A minus root B to be equal to 2, because I have taken A and B to be positive and I have taken A to be greater than B. So I have root A minus root B to be equal to 2, not minus 2, because A is greater than B by my assumption. Okay, and now consider this, A minus B is equal to 12. So we can factorize it. So A minus B is equal to 12. I can write this A as root A whole squared minus root B whole squared. So I have root A plus root B times root A minus root B is equal to 12. So root A minus root B is known to me. This is 2. So I plug it over here. So I get root A plus root B whole multiplied by 2 is equal to 12. So I get root A plus root B is equal to 6. 12 by 2, which is 6. Now I have root A plus root B, I have root A minus root B. I can easily find out what are A and B. So root A minus root B is equal to 2. I add these two, so I get 2 root A is equal to 8, root A is equal to 4. This gives me A is equal to 16, and if I subtract this with this, I get 2 root B is equal to 6 minus 2, 4. I get root B is equal to 2, and I get B is equal to 4. So my two answers are, the two numbers are 4 and 16. Sorry for the space. Okay, so these are the two numbers, 4 and 16. If you consider B to be greater than A, then you will be getting 16 and 4, no problem. Okay, Now, as I told you that geometric mean is not just for a single number. I mean, you may not just have a single number between two numbers. You can have as many numbers as you want between two given numbers, and for those numbers to be the geometric mean, we want the entire sequence to be a GP. So what I want to say is that insert two numbers between 3 and 81. So you are given 3 and 81, 81, and now you want to insert two numbers, say for example x and y. So these are actually called the geometric means if all of these four numbers are in GP. All right, so we want to find out such numbers. What are these numbers x and y? So you remember we have to just use the very first video that we covered in geometric progressions, that means the constant ratio thing. Okay, so if I insert these two numbers, how many terms are there in all now in my sequence? I have 4 terms. So this is my fourth term. So what I have, my T4 is equal to 81, and I know the formula for T4. It is a r cube, where a is the first term and r is the common ratio. So this is how we apply what we learned in the first video over here. So I have a r cube is equal to 81. The value of a is actually 3, so 3 r cube is 81. R cube is 81 by 3, which is equal to 27, and r is equal to cube root of 27, which is 3. So my r is 3. So my second term is actually just 3 multiplied by the common ratio, which is 3. So my x is actually, the second number is actually 3 into 3, 9, and my y, which is the third term, is just this number multiplied by 3. Remember, we constantly keep on adding 3 to the preceding number. So my x is 3 times of this number, my y is 3 times of this number. So we just keep on multiplying with 3. So my y is 3 times of x, which is 9 times 3 is equal to 27. And then again, just for verification, 81 is actually 27 times 3. So we are good so far. Next, insert 3 numbers between 1 and 256 so that the resulting sequence is the GP. So we have 1 and we have 256, and then we have to insert 3 numbers such that all of these 5 numbers are in GP. So this is my fifth number. So what I have, T5 to be equal to 256. So I have a r to the power of 4 is equal to 256. My a is actually 1, so I leave it out over here. So r to the power of 4 is 256, and I can write 256 as 256 is 16 squared, 16 is 4 squared. So I can write this as 4 to the power of 4. So r to the power of 4 is 4 to the power of 4, or actually it's actually minus 4 whole to the power of 4, plus or minus anything that you want. So it's plus or minus. So I get r is equal to plus or minus 4. Okay, so my r can be either positive or negative, because in any of those circumstances, raising it to the power 4 will give me 256. So my numbers are, if I take r is equal to 4 plus 4, then I get the numbers to be 4, then 4 into 4 16, then 16 into 4 is 64, and if I take minus 4, then I get the numbers to be minus 4, 16, minus 64, and this was my answer. And that's it. This was a small video because we just covered the concepts of geometric mean. In the next video, we'll be covering the infinite series on GP. And till then, thanks a lot for studying with A-level math. Study hard, study smart. Bye-bye. See you in the next video.